This video is for entertainment only. If you choose to gamble, you will most likely lose all of your money. You have been warned. Hey everybody, Max Winnings here today for our first Blackjack analysis episode. Today we're going to take a deep dive into the results of my 1,000 hands of video Blackjack that I've played over the past month, including how much I've won, how the action is played out, and then deciding how I'm going to change my basic strategy based upon our findings to see if we can turn more profit. Before we start, I just wanted to say again, thank you to all of those that are out there that's been watching and encouraging these Blackjack videos. Besides wanting to win some money and have a little bit of fun, it's been great getting to interact with all of you on a daily basis. So make sure you keep liking, commenting, sharing, and most importantly, subscribe if you haven't yet. With that being said, let's get to it. Let's start with the parameters. Our hands were played over 17 different sessions at 8 different casinos, including 10 at the Horseshoe in Indianapolis and 7 different casinos in Las Vegas. All of our hands were played on single-player only machines made by Interblock called Blackjack Extreme. They feature a version of Blackjack called Single Deck Continuous Shuffle. Some of you may be wondering, what is a continuously shuffled single deck game of Blackjack? Well, it's a version of the game in which the random number generator of the machine picks from all 52 cards of a virtual deck each hand, essentially taking the prior hand's cards and shuffling them back into its deck before dealing out the next hand. This is of course different from the live version of single deck Blackjack, where cards remain excluded after being dealt until the end of the shoe is played. These differences with a continuously shuffled game leads to varied performance when using our typical basic strategy. Our analysis is going to look at the differences in these performances, along with some trends, and identify some opportunities to increase our win percentage, and of course, you got it, our profitability. And finally, the gameplay. We played 1,000 hands of video Blackjack with bets ranging from $5 to $30 per hand, all within February 1st to March 1st of 2024. Using basic strategy, or at least when I could remember it. Thanks again to you guys that reminded me when I didn't. Now let's get to the results. Okay, now that we're through the basics, let's get on to the good stuff. In total, we won 453 hands out of the 1,000 that we played. We had 96 pushes and 451 losses. What does this mean? The 453 wins that we had equates to a 45.3 win percentage, which is actually 3.1% better than the traditional single deck Blackjack expected win percentage, which essentially means that we won 31 hands more than would be expected in a simulated environment. We had 12 winning sessions out of the total 17 that were included in the analysis, winning a grand total of $175 over all 1,000 hands, equating to a whopping 17 cents profit per hand played. Money, baby. If we apply an average bet of $8 per hand to the 31 hands that we won above the expected amount, that equates to about a $500 swing in profit. Without those additional hands, we would be way in the red for this analysis, so thankfully that went our way. As I mentioned earlier, we had 96 pushes during the analysis, which is also higher than expected by about 1% or 10 hands over the entirety of the game. This, along with the higher than expected win rate that we've had so far, has led to a lower than expected loss rate of 45% as well. 45% win rate, 45% loss rate. It doesn't get much more even than that. Shouldn't be very surprising for some of you who've been following along on the videos. I played even a lot. Along with that, I've had higher than expected blackjacks, lower than expected busts, and the dealer has busted more than expected as well. All of these metrics seem to skew in the player's favor. Is that true? Is it just small sample size? Or are we starting to uncover a pattern from the random number generator? Other stats to go along with the analysis. My biggest winning streak has been 8 hands straight. Unfortunately, my biggest losing streak has been 10 hands straight. I know a few of you have asked for me to do, or try at least, the martingale strategy, if we tried to beat a 10-hand losing streak, it would take over 10 grand to finally break the losing streak. I'm not putting that kind of money in a video blackjack machine, everybody. Looking at some common hands during the analysis, my most common scenario was a 13 against a dealer up card of 8. Unfortunately, I only won 3 out of the 17 occurrences of that happening. On the bright side, my most winningest hand, unsurprisingly, beyond a 21, was a 20 versus a dealer up card of 9. I won all 7 occurrences of that throughout the analysis. Let's give our double downs a look. Overall, we won 68 out of 104 double downs, which equates to a 65% win rate, more than 20% our overall average, so they're definitely working. Our best double down, to no surprise, was when we doubled an 11, an 82% success rate overall out of 50 hands. Now that's making some money, boys. Although in 5 tries against an ace, we only won 2 out of the 5. While still a great bet, you can see that our double down 9s are underperforming, as well as our soft 4s and 5s. Now let's review our splits. Splits do not seem to perform nearly as well as what you would expect. Splits are supposed to double your chances at a high profitability win, but 8s so far are the only ones that are performing to where I would expect them to. As you can see, split 3s and split aces are at even, while everything else is underperforming against our average win rate. This is a pretty surprising finding based on play in actual life, especially splitting the aces, which is supposed to be one of your best go-to moves for making some money when playing at the table. Due to this variation in performance, splits are going to be one of the targets that we review in the next segment of our analysis. Beyond splits and double downs, I also reviewed performance after pushes, blackjacks, and dealer blackjacks. One of the interesting trends identified in this analysis is the fact that we won 67% of our hands following a dealer blackjack and pushed on 21% of them. Those two facts combined mean that we basically break even or win 90% of the time following a dealer's blackjack. Being a gambler, I think that sounds like a pretty good bet to me, everybody. Now how I'm going to try to win more money. After all of this, you're probably saying to yourself, so what? How does this help me win more money playing video blackjack? Well, using this analysis, I've identified 5 areas in basic strategy that we could have changed over these first 1,000 hands to help us at least double our takeaway profits of $175 from the first month. Once again, this is all just for fun. I'm sure probability and chance and luck is going to catch up with us, but let's pretend it doesn't. To the first proposed change of standing on 12 versus 7, 8, or 9, these first 3 hands that are shown here are opportunities where if we had stood, we would have won instead of lost these hands. We played 12 versus 7, 8, or 9 19 times in the analysis and only won 3 different hands. If we had stood instead of hitting against these hands, we would have won 11 times, almost quadrupling our wins and adding an additional $64 in winnings to our total for the entire analysis. The next proposed change is something similar, but instead of a 12, we are talking about a 15 versus a 7. We played a 15 versus a 7 12 different times in the analysis, winning only 4 by hitting against the 7 based on basic strategy recommendations. If we had stood instead of hit, we would have more than doubled our win rate to 9, gaining an additional $40 in profit. By utilizing just these 2 simple moves so far, we would have added over $100 to our $175 take-home. The third proposed change to our strategy will be standing on a 13 versus a 10. We played 13 versus a 10 17 times during the analysis and only won 4 times based on hitting the 13 against the 10 from basic strategy recommendations. By standing, we would have doubled our wins to a total of 8. The fourth change would be one that we touched upon earlier during the results section as far as betting more after a dealer blackjack. And for the last change to basic strategy, you all are going to think I'm crazy, but I'm going to abandon all the splits except for 8s and 9s. And I'm only keeping 9s because I didn't have a large enough sample size to draw any conclusions from. Not only that, but we're going to double our pairs of aces instead of split them. Why? Because careful review of our hands of pairs of aces through those splits have shown that if we had kept them together and played them as a normal 12, we would have won 60% of the time, increasing our profitability. So there it is, my new modified basic strategy. This is what I'll be using for the next 1,000 hands on my channel. Make sure you tune in to see how that turns out. I'm ready to give this a go and see where it goes. Do you think that it regresses back to the mean and we start to lose money? Or do you think the historical trends that we found in our data modeling plays out and we actually start to increase our profitability? I will give you a hint. I've already tried out the new strategy and early returns are promising. So make sure you check out my Blackjack video that I'm dropping tomorrow and see how the new strategy works out. In the meantime, make sure you comment down below. Let me know what you think of the analysis video. Let me know if you think I'm crazy because of the strategy. And thanks for watching. Good luck out there, everybody.